The year is 1913, and Jesse and Matilda Begu are planning a visit with Grandma for their 8-month-old son, James. For the average American child, a trip to Grandma's house is a normal occurrence, but for James, it would be far from normal. That's because he would be mailed there. It all started with the addition of the Parcel service to the post office. The weight limit for mail changed from a 4-pound maximum to an 11-pound maximum. This allowed for large parcels and packages to be shipped at a fraction of the price of private shipping companies, which had been the standard method of shipping up until then. This made for a shipping revolution, and the U.S. Postal Service saw a huge boom in business. Regulations on what you could and couldn't ship were vague, so naturally people tested the limits. Eggs, bricks, snakes, you name it, they sent it. Technically, there was no postal regulation against it. And that brings us right to babies. So, did Jesse and Matilda wrap James up in a box and drop him off at the nearest post office? Not quite. In the early 1900s, many people in rural areas had at least a friendly relationship with their mailman, as he was their main bridge to communicating with those far away. The couple knew their mailman personally, so they were confident that mailing him would be a safe venture. In fact, there were actually no instances of children being boxed up and sent. They were more like companions or well-swaddled bundles in the arms of the postal workers. The couple paid 15 cents for a stamp, which is all it cost to send the child, and paid a $50 security deposit, and he was well on his way. The mailman took little James about a mile away and safely dropped him off at Grandma's house. But mailing children didn't stop there, and a mile is far from the longest distance. In fact, there are 7 recorded instances of children being sent in the mail from 1913 to 1915. So, mailing a child clearly wasn't common, but it was much cheaper to buy a few stamps than a whole railway ticket. In the case of May Piersdorf, who was sent 73 miles away to her grandparents' house in Idaho, it only cost her parents 53 cents. They put a stamp on her jacket, and off she went. Now, it is definitely worth noting that May had a relative in the Postal Service who took her on her journey. Nevertheless, she was paid for and processed like a piece of mail. May's story became so legendary, she even made it into a children's book, Mailing May. This instance was the beginning of the end, however, for mailing children. When Postmaster General Albert S. Burleson found out about this, he officially banned postal workers from accepting humans as mail. But it didn't stop things immediately. A year later, one woman mailed her 6-year-old daughter from her home in Florida to her father's home in Virginia, some 720 miles away. This is perhaps the longest recorded journey of any child in the post, and it only cost around 15 cents. In August of 1915, 3-year-old Maud Smith made the final journey by mail when her grandparents mailed her 40 miles through Kentucky to visit her sick mother. I'm seeing a trend here with the grandparents. After the story made the news, the postmaster who allowed the child on the train was questioned and investigated. However, it appears he was able to keep his job. Although it seems that Maud was the last successfully mailed child, others would still try to mail their children. While some saw the mailing of children as an act of negligence or incompetence in parents, others stress how these instances show just how important and trusted the Postal Service was to rural American communities. In June of 1920, a postmaster would reject 2 applications to send children in the mail, citing that they couldn't be classified as harmless live animals. I'll see you next time.
Thank you for watching History and Beyond. From now on, all of our videos will be on interesting stuff you can't find in a textbook. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. Oh, and also, speaking of mail, I never get any mail.